Hello, hello. Welcome to this April edition of School of Celebrancy Live. We're here on the first Tuesday of every month, and I have a different guest each month. Just talking about things that I hope are of interest to practicing celebrants, trainee celebrants, and anybody who's interested in ceremony or the various topics that we discuss on this broadcast. Hello, Linda Jane. You're always one of the first to join us, and it's really lovely if people can say hello, type a little hello when you join us, just so we know who's with us and where you're hailing from. So as probably most people watching this know, School of Celebrancy is part of OBOD, the Order of Bards, Ovates and Druids. And in a way, I guess that Wild Women Retreats, we're going to be talking to Boann from Wild Women Retreats, is a bit of a cousin of School of Celebrancy. We both began in about 2015, around the same time. And yeah, Boann is an old friend of mine from OBOD camps. And without any further ado, I'm going to add Boann to the stream. Hello, Boann.
Oh, hi, hello.
So I am in Brighton, where it's been quite sunny and windy today. Where are you, and how's it been where you are?
Yeah, we're in Warminster, and which is South Wiltshire, right at the bottom.
Mhm.
And it's been quite a warm but windy day today. It's been a good day, but warm and windy.
So yeah, I invited you to join me tonight to talk about celebrating women. And you've been doing lots of celebrating women in recent years with Wild Women Retreats, haven't you?
Yeah, and like you said, 2015, it seems such a long time ago now, but on the other hand, it's only 5 minutes. It's gone quite quickly, but lots has happened. Lots has happened. Um, Coming from the spark of an idea, in a discussion, probably round a fire at OBOD camps in
Mm-hmm.
Oxfordshire. Natalie and I discussed time and time again taking it out there, bringing what we've learned from our community at OBOD camps and bringing it out there, and especially for women, which was very passionate for both of us at the time. And in 2015, Natalie sort of took hold and made it happen. And it's moved on from there. We started on the Dorset coast, and we've moved a little bit up country in Dorset now for our main retreat in the summer, to Springhead, the Springhead Trust. But from one residential retreat a year, we're doing 3 retreats a year now, which is amazing. We
Ah,
have between 20, which was the last one, was at Wildways, at Lane and Garth in Wildways. We had, I think it turned out to be about 17 women, 20 women, for a really intense, beautiful time together, for a long weekend. And then at the Glastonbury gatherings, which we have in November, we have 50 or 60 women come to those. And our main summer retreat, our residential summer retreat, we have 60 women on site from Monday to Friday. So yeah, it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful.
so can you tell me more about why you were drawn to holding space for women? And I know it's like a huge question, but
Oh,
can
it
you?
is. I mean, I suppose the importance came from space being held for me. and for some really close friends of mine as women. I witnessed how important it was to my life and their life. At OBOD camps, I started being asked to do rites of passage for young people, young women. And I can't remember how many I did, but it felt like the path forward, really. And then the Women's Lodge at Beltane, holding that space with Elaine and working with lots of other women and holding workshops and meditations and sacred space. It was my personal path, and we've come together, a group of us come together that feel passionately about it, and that's what we do. We create sacred space for women.
And is ceremony a big part of that?
Yeah, it is. Every retreat we have an opening and closing ceremony. It's most important to create that space magically. We also do experiential rituals as well, so that enables the women to experience something with a group of other women that they might want to take on and experience themselves when they go home. Even for the smallest things, that being grateful for the food that we eat, ceremony for each other. There is just something so I don't know what the word is. I don't think. Yeah, it is precious. It is precious. Yeah, it's precious to hold that space in ceremony, in ritual, and have it held beautifully and grounded, being really grounded. Yeah.
I'm just want to come back to both of those things, the experiential ritual and the kind of held space in ceremony, because I'm aware that perhaps not everyone joining us in this conversation might have experienced that. But the idea of having a process in a space that could be for a day or a number of days or a can you
it's like a big cauldron, isn't it, that you're holding space with all this wondrous content inside. It has to be held safe. But within that cauldron of the opening and closing ceremony, we will have other ceremonies and other rituals. And it is, making sacred, making safe. And the experiential rituals, I think we do quite a bit of journeying within the retreats that we have, and I think it's really important to set boundaries. That's the word, isn't it? Boundaries, to get boundaries to a space. So people feel comfortable, they feel at ease within that place.
Can you explain what you mean by an experiential ritual?
Okay. Words and labels are difficult, aren't they, really? Okay, for our November gathering, we have a programme that on Saturday morning we invite a guest to come in and talk about their passion, their jobs, their life. And from that, in the afternoon, we will take the essence of the talk and we will create a sacred space, and we will work together. The team will work together to, is the word allow? I'm not sure, for the women that are there to actually walk a spiritual path of that subject or that essence. So, and that could be done in so many different ways. You know, if we've had a Beltane, have we had a Beltane? No, we had an Imbolc celebration, a couple of 3, 4, taking out the lockdown time, on a February in Glastonbury, and in the afternoon we all made bridey dolls. And so that was the experience of creating and making a bridey doll specifically for you, but being held by this sisterhood, all these other women. Yeah. So it's about, it's about experiencing a subject or a little bit of magic within a safe space. So, and it will be ritualized. So there'll be certain boundaries made and held. Yeah.
And can you tell me a little bit about the women that come to your retreats? Are they, you know, who are they? How old? Where from? Do they all follow a particular path? Or what?
Oh, yeah. Well, let me have a drink of my tea first.
While you're drinking your tea, just hello to everyone else who's joined us. Nice to see
Yeah.
Alex here and Simon.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
We're non-denominational, so we welcome all faiths and no faith, all religions and no religion. It's a place where we don't hold judgment. So, you know, that's quite a beautiful experience. So we have retired vicars to shop workers to doctors to barristers to, you know, women that are at home with their children, you know, all sorts, and from all different ages. You know, 18 is our starting point because we have to have some kind of starting point somewhere, but women come to up to their 70s, you know, 70s, maybe 80s, you know, and that is pure magic in its own place, because when you sit together in a circle of women of all ages and witness the smiles, the words, the love, the crafting, the teaching, the learning that comes from that, I don't think you can get that anywhere else. It's a gift to us. Yeah.
And how do you think that the you know, you're talking about the ways that you are kind of grounding and holding the space with ceremony. What difference does that make to the space? How is that different from other women's spaces that you've experienced?
Different to other women. I don't know. I mean, our ceremonies are definitely based in the OBOD training. You know, we hold the quarters, we call for peace, we speak and honour the spirit of place. How are they different? I
suppose I was thinking more, how are they different from you know, other women's spaces out in the world?
Oh, out in the world.
Yeah.
I think listening to some of the women that haven't experienced ceremony before and come to one of our retreats, and their first experience will be an opening ceremony. I think it definitely for them brings them together. You know, connects all the women. We're standing, holding hands, singing Arwens. We're together, you know, we're family. And I think that solidifies something and actually makes everything else tingle, because it calls on the elements, it calls on the magic of the place, the spirit of the place, and that sort of emanates and goes through the whole circle. So
do you think there's maybe something about you know, something about being in that held space, that there's things that people can let go of their normal kind of armoring or defense?
yeah, and you know, whether it's the first minutes or the first hours or the first day, you can see the women relax and know that they're in a place that they're not judged, that they can be themselves, they've got somebody to go to if they need to as well, you know, because we have the team, we've got Afric, Rosie, myself, and Natalie, and then we've got other women that come and work with us, Mel and Shelley, you know, that are safe, I suppose, safe spaces, are they? We are there for any of the women if they feel uncomfortable or they don't know what's going on. They can just come and ask us, and we make that very, very obvious from the beginning. Also, I think because Wild Women Retreats is a running business, and the four of us, Afric, Natalie, Rosie, and myself, hold that. The biggest thing we have with the four of us, and I'm so overwhelmed by it, is trust. And a lot of the women say to us, you know, we can feel it. We you know, we see you. The mirth, the reverence, the joy, the honesty, and is there. I think that helps an awful lot. Yeah, working together as a team, it can be very difficult for some people, but we seem to have just sunk beautifully into this place, and we trust each other 100%. Yeah.
And can you I know again it's like maybe hard to put your finger on, but what is different about having a women's space and a women's ceremony as opposed to having a kind of mixed ceremony?
You'd think women would get together and do this more often, but I don't think they have the opportunity. And I think it's a place where, although it can be difficult to make arrangements, you know, mothers can leave their children at home with their partners and be themselves fully. Sisters come together, mother and daughters come together. I think there's a kind of, ease when women come together, and ease, and when they realise they're in a place that's safe and that they're not going to be judged for who they are, what they look like, what they do, you know, then yeah, like you said, did you say the armor comes off? You know, all the everyday stuff sort of fades away, and you can truly be yourself. And that's what we encourage. You know, one of the biggest things is empowerment, and I believe in self-empowerment for all of us. But some women, in my experiences, have found that very, very difficult. So I suppose part of the work we do is giving them tools as well to go out there, to take it out there and actually give themselves a little bit more. And the beautiful thing of these women coming together, that we've got a lot of women that come back year after year, but they have their own monthly meetings or their own camps, and they connect together and they have phone calls and they support each other outside of the retreats, which was a big learning for mobile camps, you know.
Okay, so it's partly what you're doing is kind of seeding community and
Community and support, outside of the retreats, definitely, and it happens, it happens.
You mentioned coming of age rites of passage for teenagers, and I don't want to go too much into that with you this evening, because I've got Dr. Jonathan Woolley coming next month to talk very specifically about that that side of things. But I wonder, has the coming of the different stages of womanhood, have you been celebrating other stages of womanhood at your retreats?
Collectively, I think we celebrate that. As I said, we have such a wide range of ages, so collectively we do. We haven't yet done individual ceremonies for women, but it could well be on the cards, you know. I mean, one thing that does happen, you know, we are sometimes asked to do things outside of the retreats. And that's fantastic. That is fantastic. Personally, for me, I'm now a post-menopausal woman, and I would like to celebrate that more. I wish there was more information in the truth of how women cope with the moving on in age from a younger me, but there wasn't. So I think we're still learning that, and I think we still need to celebrate that. In our quarters, when we hold ceremony, we celebrate the maid in the East, the maiden, the mother, the wise woman, and the crone. I think as women tend to live a little bit longer than they used to now, when we have the threefold of the maiden, the mother, and the crone, there's a bit of room for the wise woman. Some women call it the queen, and for me, that's where I am. You know, I'm a grandma too, but I'm not ready to be a crone yet. So yes, we do celebrate within our ceremonies, within our rituals, our journeying and meditations, the different ages. And the biggest celebration, I'd say again, is sitting in the gardens of Springhead on a bright sunny day and listening to the conversation of all the different ages. You know, that is just a celebration in itself. But yeah, I think outside of Wild Women retreats, I think we should be encouraging more women to celebrate their times in life, their motherhood, their maidenhood, their wise woman place or queen, and their croning. And if anybody wants to celebrate that, give me a call. I'll be quite happy to hold space for you. Definitely, it's an absolute honour.
That's something that I've really loved to hold space for as well. And you're involved as an artist with a project about menopause at the moment.
Yes, there's a beautiful woman who's got an exhibition that started already. It started in London. Katrine, she's taking her exhibition called "This is What the Menopause Looks Like," and she has taken photographs of 70 women from all over the country and recorded their interviews and written a piece to go with the photographs. And I'm one of those women in there. It's something that I jumped at. I thought, it's right in front of me. I've just got to do this. So I'm not sure where it is at the moment. It's been at the Arnolfini in Bristol. It's going to Brighton.
Oh yeah, it's coming here to Brighton in the Brighton Festival. Yeah, I think.
And it's coming to Frome as well, which is where I used to live, just down the road. And it's going to be amazing. I've seen some of the photographs; they're incredible. Just women are great.
It's a funny thing, isn't it? Because I realised as I was approaching the menopause that it was something that hadn't been talked about, or I hadn't had any kind of information or support about it until, you know, very fortunately for me, I have a dear friend who's a few years older than me, lovely Charlotte Still, who's also an artist, who sort of took me under her, you know, further down the line menopause wing. And also I'm lucky to have a sister who's 9 years older. But my impression was, just suddenly realised that in the wider world, it's mainly represented as a time when you just might go through a lot of unwelcome physical symptoms.
Yeah, which isn't necessarily true.
Yeah.
And what I found out, that you can read about this in books, that it's written down in stages, but the menopause is different for every single woman.
Mm.
And you know, I flew through the menopause. It was the post-menopause that caused me more problems and issues. Nobody had said that, you know, to me. But yeah, I think women and men, I think the whole world needs to hear what the menopause is truly like.
Yeah.
It can be totally empowering, and if you embrace it, it can be terribly emotional and full of anxiety for some women. It could be really hard work. So support through ceremony as well, and being witnessed by other women, I think it would help quite a few people. Yeah.
I was just typing into the chat box a book that I would recommend to any women of any age, called The New Menopausal Years by Susan Weed. That's a really wonderful
Yeah,
book that
absolutely.
really, it's a really lovely kind of much more holistic. A lot's there about embracing all of the wonderful positive things that go into this transition, as well as lots of support with the
Yeah,
challenging physical, mental, emotional aspects that people might
yeah,
experience, and lots of options, empowering kind of
yeah.
choices
Susan,
laid out. Yeah.
I must say, the this summer retreat, I will be holding space, which will be from the first bleed to the menopause and beyond. Um, when I thought I was coming up to my menopause, I made myself a blood wand, which took me, I don't know if you remember, River, actually, it took me 13 moons. So I had a year of celebration,
I do recall this.
before, yeah, before I thought I would stop bleeding. I wanted to honor myself, my body, my blood, and I found that an incredible experience. So yeah, I'll be talking about that as well. So I still have it. When I hold it, it sort of warms my heart, makes me smile, and makes me cry all at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose one of the things that would be good for us to mention as we're talking about celebrating women and women's ceremonies is the I think pretty much kind of worldwide traditions for women's moon ceremonies. Is that
Yeah.
something that you've been involved with as well?
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, ceremonies all over the world have, you know, a lot of them are very, very different, but very similar,
Mm.
at the same time. And yeah, I'd like to learn more, because I think we're always learning. I'd like to learn more from other traditions and other um, tribes of women all around the world. Um, yeah, it's and also, you know, the research I've done over the last years of my life about bleeding and the menopause has been quite horrific to how it's been seen and held. in families, in communities, in different faiths, in different cultures. Some of it, for me, seems quite harsh, and some of it seems extremely beautiful. So, yeah.
I'm again very fortunate that something came my way, you know, through my sister. When I was in my 30s, I was invited to a women's moon ceremony. That was one that had been shared from a specific continuous tradition from a certain part of the world, but being intentionally shared with other women, you know, to help us sort of connect.
Isn't it a great honour? Isn't it a great honour?
Yeah. And such an incredibly empowering and supportive place to be in. And of course, we should also talk about the goddess, shouldn't we? Because when women come together, it just feels like the goddess is present in my experience, you know, when we
in
get
all her guises. Yeah. In all her guises. One amazing thing that we have at the Springhead Trust, where we have our summer retreat, is that there's a massive 3-acre lake which we can't swim in, unfortunately. But at the top of the lake is a spring where it's 7 springs, and we can use the pool. And to see women come together, that and some have said, I don't think I would have ever done that in my life, you know, go into the pool and immerse themselves and be held by other women, some that they've probably only known for a couple of days. There's some that they've known for years. That spring's very clean and clear and very goddess-like. And it is a big celebration of the goddess there, and the goddess within, you know, because we all have this beautiful goddess within us, as well as us having the God within us too. This goddess, you know, and I quite agree with the wise woman being called the queen, because, you know, stand tall, wear your crown, be proud of who you are, celebrate your own inner goddess. And the goddess in all of her guises. Like I said, we're non-denominational, so we do bring in the essence of our own spiritual paths, and they're all very different, and they all have an experience that's different. So we're forever learning a new face of the goddess, aren't we? We're all always turning that little bit round, you know, and I see that when I see my daughter grow, and her goddess was very different as a teenager to it is now, and being there at my granddaughter's birth, I truly saw the goddess. Watching my daughter give birth to my granddaughter, I saw the goddess brighter than I've ever seen her before. I'm going to cry.
It's I love that you mentioned the spring as soon as I mentioned the goddess as well. And there's obviously, you know, many traditions, again, from many different parts of the world, of the wells and the waters and the springs and rivers often being personified as and associated with the divine feminine.
And I think my life took a turn with working with the goddess when, way back, I won a place to be inside Newgrange at the winter solstice, and that was a ritual and a half for me. And the goddess definitely came and tapped me on the shoulder and said, yeah, come over here, I've got some work for you to do.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. I remember
yeah,
that was not long after we first met, wasn't it? You went to
yeah,
pilgrimage.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was. Yeah,
Mm.
precious time. Yeah, and the river there, the river Boyne, and the spring at Tara, and for me, I'm really lucky because I live fairly close to two springs that are drinking water. That's the one at Springhead where we go. I'm half an hour drive away. So whenever I'm in that direction, because it's like our sort of spiritual home, and we get on with everybody there so well. It's like a big family. So big welcome in, and I collect all my drinking water to bring home. And yeah, that's part of ceremony as well, isn't it? It's part of your daily practice. That
Yeah.
what you give to yourself, what you ingest, where you get your water from. If you're lucky enough, I mean, I know there's lots of people that won't be able to do that, but I feel very blessed to be able to go and collect my own drinking water. Mm.
So, just coming back to the Wild Women's gatherings, and I know you talked
Wow.
about the team and the different roles that people take on. But would you say your role has been in particular around ceremony?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, ceremony came to me gradually over some years, and I still remember holding the first Imbolc ceremony at Wildways and putting it together, and how nervous I was. But then over the but yeah, but then really being held by these these amazing people around me. But over the years, my form of ceremony has twisted and changed and moved. Its grounding base is in the obod ceremony, but I work intuitively and try to champion that as much as I can, really. I feel that when I step into that place, what do you call it? Priestess, master ceremonies, whatever you want to call it. When I step into that place, I'm held by the goddess. I'm held by Great Spirit in a safe space of my own to be able to do this work. And I'm not sure if I could ever write an essay on it. I don't think it works like that for me. But river.
I talk about this on the School of Celebrancy courses actually, and I am just going to say a little thing about why we called it the School of Celebrancy, and thought really looked at celebrancy as being different from a priesthood or priestesshood. And one of the talks, in the days when Philip Cargom and I were first talking about setting up the School of Celebrancy, we both really agreed on our view of celebrancy as being a coming at it from a different angle to traditions where a priesthood had been seen as like separate from and different to, and in authority over, and being a kind of
It's interesting, isn't it? Because
yeah
as you know, I do hand fastings or celebrations for people.
yeah
I don't advertise at all. It happens.
yeah
And people ask me. So yeah, I work as celebrant there because it's more, isn't it? You're working with people to create what they wish for their ceremony. Yeah,
absolutely. It's
yeah,
about what you talked about how you work with the women's retreats is creating spaces of empowerment. Yeah, yeah,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we don't want to be seen as this special person. We're just
Mm,
like the next woman. We're just we're working women, working for women. That's it really. And
mm,
yeah, it's a good place
mm.
to be. Yeah,
And I really, really love what you said about that sense of being held in order to hold space. And yeah, that's something I talk about
really.
a lot
Yeah,
on our School of Celebrancy training courses, and how people find that holding for themselves, that sense of being held is very, very important, I think,
very,
when
very
you
important. Yeah, and
hold
to step it. I've getting tingles now. To step into that place is such an honor. When you feel everything else strip away from you, and your feet are on the ground, and you just think, oh yeah, here I am.
oh,
Thank you. It's
yeah.
amazing.
It's
It's
giving me all
amazing.
the tingles because yeah, I'm just nodding away because that's exactly my first experience of celebrancy as well, was just exactly that kind of suddenly kind of realizing that you don't need any of your own baggage and all of that,
No, no,
worry.
no,
And it's
no. Don't
just
take your.
about
Yeah.
being in that kind of pure space of
Mm.
of holding is a wonderful space to be in, isn't it?
It's a
Yeah.
real gift, to
Yeah.
receive, and it's
Mm.
I thank Great Spirit every day, I think, for being able to do this. Yeah,
Mm.
really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, me too. Oh, I think that feels
Mm.
like a really good place to complete. We've got
Mm.
it's. I don't know quite who's been with us, but I can see that people joined us and stuck with us for this conversation.
Oh,
So, um,
fantastic.
yeah. And Eve at one point said, "Well, I think this is when we were talking about the menopause." She said, "Thank you both for such a simple and natural conversation about a topic often couched so negatively. Embracing, transitioning, empowering. These are welcoming words and ways. They certainly are."
Mm.
So yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone, and thank you too for people who come and join us, after this evening as well, and sharing our conversation. And I do kind of look in and try and sort of reply to anybody who kind of makes comments after the effect as well. And yeah, I'm going to be here on the first Tuesday of May, talking with the lovely Jonathan Woolley about rites of passage for coming of age into adulthood. And then I think in June, I've got a lovely holistic funeral director, um,
Cool.
uh, hopefully lined up. But yeah, we like to finish. These are Katie's just waving at us from Michigan. And we've had Karen McSween from the New Forest, Alex Cox from California, Simon Riley from down the road from me in Lewis. And I like to finish, as we always do, with just a sort of little held moment for us. And I was looking for some things to read, and I just found a couple of readings that are both, I think, really pointing to a very ancient thread of traditions around women celebrating together. And the first reading is called Full Moon, and it's by the poet Sappho. So it's actually written um, over 2,500 years ago, translated by William Ellery Leonard. Off in the twilight hung the low full moon, and all the women stood before it grave as round an altar. Thus at holy times The Cretan damsels dance melodiously with delicate feet about the sacrifice, trampling the tender bloom of the soft grass.
Mm.
I just really loved that image of women celebrating full moon 2,500 years ago. And in the same classical tradition, I also found an Orphic hymn to Gaia, which is translated by Virginia Stewart. O goddess, source of gods and mortals, all fertile, all destroying Gaia, mother of all, who brings forth the bounteous fruits and flowers, all variety, maiden who anchors the eternal world in our own, immortal, blessed, crowned with every grace, deep bosomed earth, sweet plains and fields, fragrant grasses and the nurturing rains. Around you fly the beauteous stars, eternal and divine. Come, blessed goddess, and hear the prayers of your children, and make the increase of the fruits and grains your constant care. With the fertile seasons, your handmaidens draw near and bless your supplicants. So yeah, just we're sending big love to all the women out there and all the goddess honouring men folk and folk of every gender. And yeah, thank you to those of you who joined us this evening, and I hope to see you at one of these School of Celebrancy live broadcasts again soon. Thanks, Boann, for spending
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure.
I'm going to end the broadcast now, and yeah, blessings to all.